One question I get one way or another from multiple occasions is, how long has it been since you talked to someone? I'll put it in a more family-friendly way. I exchange ideas and do things which some people would consider intimate exchanges because I'm talking to them. I think now on almost a continuous basis, at least on this channel, there's somebody watching at least one of my videos virtually 24 hours a day, not just 24 hours, but every minute of those 24 hours of the day. And this is only a small proportion of the total number of views that are being generated from the watching of my videos in who knows how many other places and in who knows how many other communities for purposes beyond any which I could have initially imagined. It's a different sort of intimacy in a way, in that one person who's part of the intimate exchange is removed in space and time and context, in many cases, from the other person who is also part of it. And I also wonder if I'm connecting properly with my audience, because I do things with these high notes where I'm working really hard to get them out, where people interpret them or respond to them in quite different ways from what I feel when I'm generating them. It's hard work for me to do this. I'm really straining. And then for other people, they'll laugh or whatever, get whatever response from it, which I can't do while I'm generating the note. I can laugh about it afterwards or laugh at someone else's response, but I can't laugh and produce that note by that technique at the same time. So there are all these sorts of intimacy that are going on, and that I don't really know about at the time they're occurring. So if somebody were to ask, how long has it been since you've been intimate with someone? I don't know. I can infer that it's happening continuously, and that's in some ways a difficult adjustment for me to make, in that I can never really turn off the connection. I know that it's always going on somewhere. And I wonder what effect that has when we have entire societies of people who are subjected to some version of that effect at one time or another. But it seems now there's almost this expectation that I should do things to generate a sense of intimacy, which I would consider wrong. I've done some research on what people consider gossip and why they think it's wrong. And they say essentially because you have one intimate relationship which is based on not telling certain things, making that other party feel safe because you don't reveal things within the context of that relationship to people who are outside of it. Then there's a possibility of creating a false sense of intimacy, a destructive intimacy, by taking what's confidential in that context and telling it to, in our day, possibly thousands or even millions of people. I did a search for this on what people call story times, where they're physically intimate with someone and then recreate that on a massive scale by talking to other people about it. Now, for some people, hearing this is an even bigger thrill than the original physical experience would have been. So it's a blurring of the lines between physical and verbal intimacy, but it's done by burning that person who was the source of the original story, in part. And now it seems, although there are in some cases extreme penalties for doing this, in the Bible there's one story, I guess, I managed to find in my researches, where somebody tells something that should have been kept in confidence in another relationship and kind of burns that other relationship. And the penalty for that is leprosy and exile, being cast out of your tribe entirely. Now that's just for burning that person once, just telling what was taken in confidence to only one other person. Now imagine if you scaled up the severity of that breach of trust by a factor of thousands or millions. Then we're once again back to the same sort of topic that I've been discussing in my last few videos. It's just a breach so big that people can't comprehend it and get anesthetized to it over time. Don't think it's wrong anymore because it's just so enormous that you would essentially violates someone's trust several million times over with all the other people you're telling this story to. So that seems to me another one of the possible reasons why people find it hard to understand when I talk about these issues of, well, theft, intellectual property theft, and what accompanies it in some ways, which is a breach of trust.